So, Sonic Adventure was a success for Sega and Sonic Team. It made sense that they would follow up Adventure with a sequel, but there's always a catch to this. And for SA2, it was made with a much smaller team. For comparison's sake, SA1 had 120 devs during its development. Pretty big, yeah? Oh dear. Yeah, SA2 was created by a team of 12 devs, including Tadashi Iizuka returning as the director. Not only that, but they are also to be relocated to San Francisco, California to form the now defunct Sonic Team USA, and to make a game with the same scope as SA1 again. I'm not sure why Sega would do this, and to quote Tadashi Iizuka, is like trying to make the impossible possible. However, despite all that, and a year and a half of development, Sonic Adventure 2 will be released on June 19th of 2001 for the Dreamcast, and would go on to be considered one of the best 3D Sonic games of all time. That's all great and all, but there's one problem. By the time SA2 would hit store shelves, the Dreamcast was discontinued, and Sega would pull out of the console industry altogether to become a third-party company. Like its predecessor, the Sega Saturn, it was a commercial failure. SA2 would simultaneously be the last Sonic game for a Sega console, and the first for a Nintendo console. Yeah, SA2 would be re-released on the GameCube the same year as Sonic Adventure 2 Paddle in Japan, with the rest of the world not getting it until the next year, where it ended up being one of the best-selling games on the lunchbox. This was how I, and many others, played SA2 for the first time. This would be the only way to play Battle for the longest time too, up until the HD release on the Xbox 360, PS3, and Steam in 2012. This is also the version I'm looking at today on my Series X, which again, no real difference between the systems, but it's always nice to have these on modern systems regardless. But, whatever, let's talk Sonic Adventure 2. Instead of 6 individual stories, we now have 2 different sides, the hero side and the dark side. Let's just combine the stories to make it easier. Eggman is seen raiding one of Gun's bases. Gun, or Guardian Units of Nations, basically the Sonic Universe's equivalent of the US military. I wonder where they were for SA1, because sure as hell weren't helping with Perfect Chaos. Eggman proceeds deeper into the base to find the secret project that his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, had created over 50 years ago. He opens the capsule, and that's where we're introduced to one of the most popular characters in the whole franchise. SA2 would mark the debut of Shadow the Hedgehog. Fitting time as well, given that Sega declared this year as the year of Shadow, with him getting his own scenario in Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, Sonic X Shadow Generations, wish they had a better name for this, and being a key character in the upcoming third live-action movie, being voiced by Keanu Reeves of all people. What a time to be a Sonic fan, I tell you. After releasing him, Shadow offers to help Eggman, but he first must find his way to the space colony called Ark. Elsewhere, Knuckles is fending off some Batgirl from the Master Emerald. This is Rouge the Bat. This also marked her debut as well. While the two argue, Eggman emerges out of nowhere to steal the emerald from under them. Knuckles jumps in and destroys the emeralds, with both of them now searching out for the pieces. Way to go there, Knuckles. Also, why the hell are you all the way from Angel Island? Like, where are you? Meanwhile, going to arrest Sonic, but he manages to, quote, take out everyone on board the helicopter. Now, I imagine most people play the hero side first, but this is an intro. This also leads to the first stage of the hero side, and you know you are in for a good time when the music kicks in.
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south. Block all major roads and capture the suspect.
Yeah, this is awesome. Minus the gun truck at the end. To focus on the music a bit, SA2's soundtrack is nothing but fantastic. Most of the composers returned from SA1, including Jun Senoi, but this is also where Tomono Otani made his musical debut to the series, and would later go on to be the lead composer for many games. It's way more aggressive and louder, with faster beats to accompany the faster pace of stages. This does come at a cost, however, but more on that in a minute. Eggman returns to his base in the desert, when he turns on the news to see a report about Shadow stealing a Chaos Emerald from a local bank. The reporter believes that Sonic was the one who committed the crime, despite there being a clear shot of Shadow, and he certainly does not look like Sonic. Did they forget Sonic is blue and not black and red? It makes more sense if it was just a silhouette of him to go off of. But no, he's clear as day. That's clearly not Sonic. I swear these news reporters are either blind or they are just that ignorant. Shadow gets a flashback to the moment where his close friend, and the granddaughter of Gerald, Maria, is shot by gun soldiers before getting launched out into space. Shadow wants to fulfill Maria's promise to the world, which he interprets as seeking revenge against those who killed her. Remember this for later, by the way, because it's going to be real important. Soon the two hedgehogs would encounter each other. Sonic tries to take on Shadow head on, but before he can, Shadow uses Chaos Control and flees from the scene right before Sonic is caught and arrested again. This is a prime time to mention the game's sound mixing, as it's pretty bad. It becomes impossible to hear some of these characters with how loud the music is. That was the cost I was talking about earlier, and can't even hear what they're saying right now.
Now I know what's going on. The military has mistaken me for the likes of you. So, where do you think you're going with that emerald? Say something, you fake hedgehog!
From what I understand, the mixing only got worse when the game was ported to HD, and that's a shame too, as the voice acting has gotten better. Still not amazing, but still a step up from the last game. It's also where David Humphrey provides the voice for Shadow, and he's honestly one of my favorites. And honestly underrated because he's not in very much games afterwards. Literally this game and the next game after this.
My name is Shadow. Since you were so kind to release me, my master, I will grant you one wish. Bring more Chaos Emeralds. I'll be waiting for you in the central control room on the Space Colony R. Maria, I still remember what I promised you. For the people of this planet, I promise you revenge!
Eggman is now aboard the Ark, where Shadow explains that the Eclipse Cannon is key to their plan. With the power of the Chaos Emeralds, they can use the cannon to dominate the world, but they need all 7 of them. Rouge sneaks aboard as well, offering to help locate the emeralds in exchange for Eggman to help her locate the pieces of the Master Emerald. And the 3 now infiltrate Prison Island. Eggman plans to distract the guards on base, while Shadow plants the bomb to destroy the island, and Rouge steals the emeralds from Gun's cargo area. Then all of a sudden Amy shows up out of nowhere, thinking Shadow is Sonic. Did she not look before grabbing? Whatever. Now, how did Amy get here anyways? Seriously, she didn't sneak in with Tails as he was already flying towards the island the moment this was happening. So I'm guessing she could just snuck on board via cargo? Tails arrives in the nick of time to save Amy from Eggman. Tails goes ahead and tries to find Sonic in the base, but Amy beats him to it. After running to the base, Sonic will meet Shadow on his way to save Rouge, who had gotten herself locked in the Emerald safe. This is also a good time to mention another issue with this game's audio, is that characters tend to cut each other off mid-sentence.
I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Huh. You're not even good enough to be I'll make you eat those words!
Their encounter is cut short when Eggman reminds Shadow of the bomb. Shadow rescues Rouge and the island blows up. Now with the 6 Chaos Emeralds, Eggman demonstrates the power of the Eclipse Cannon by destroying a good chunk of the moon. I'm assuming the moon in this universe can heal itself because it's fine in future games. It was explained by Izuka years later that we only see the part of the moon that wasn't destroyed. But that doesn't make sense, because we can see clear as day here, and the moon really wouldn't rotate like that in reality. I know it's fiction, but it just makes no sense that it's just fine in the future games. Hell, even Sonic X followed on it.
How did you pass security?
I pretended I was a bar of soap and gave them all the slip.
Anyways, Eggman gives the people of Earth 24 hours to submit to his demands, or use the cannon again.
Our threats fell on deaf ears.
What? Rouge reveals that the last emerald they need is in the possession of Tails. It is also revealed that Rouge is a government agent spying on Shadow to confirm for employers if he truly is the ultimate life form Gerald created. But more on that later. Back on Earth, Tails explains to the others that he can use the Chaos Emerald to locate the signals of the other emeralds. However, they haven't had any luck finding them. Oh right, Knuckles. He really was doing his own thing for a while, wasn't he? Tails learns that Eggman and the President are holding a meeting within the President's limo and gives chase. Alright, the driving stages, kinda forgot about these too. Well, not to say they're bad, no. I actually like these stages. They don't give Mario Kart a run for their money, but it can be fun, Also, what are these highways? These have to be some of the most dangerous highways I've ever seen. There are little cliffs and there are tight turns everywhere. There are even cars here minding their own business which you can easily smack out of existence. These roads don't fuck around, man. Sonic and Tails interrupt the meeting to learn that Eggman is transmitting from the Ark. The group find Eggman's base in the desert, and after traveling further into it, Eggman sounds out his goal to stop the heroes, but Sonic manages to give him a good old... The heroes use a conveniently placed shuttle that is stationed there, which I have to ask, why does Eggman have this? We know that he has a teleporter that takes him between the base and the Ark, so I'm guessing this is either a backup plan just in case the teleporter stops working, or it was already there when he made the base. Like, why is it here? It makes no sense. They make it on board the Ark, and Tails explains his plan to use a fake emerald that he created to destroy the cannon from the inside by reversing the energy stored within it. Tails goes up to destroy the power supply, meanwhile Sonic heads for the cannon to insert the emerald, and Amy, just does nothing. Eggman, however, was already spying on the group and learns of the fake emerald. As for Rouge and Knuckles, they have a scuffle, with Rouge nearly falling to her death before Knuckles grabs her at the last second. Rouge hesitantly gives up pieces she has, and the emerald's now restored. Thank God none of the pieces fell into the pit below. Sonic is about ready to put the emerald into the cannon, but he is stopped by Eggman, who now has Amy hostage. Also, I think this is one of the only times in the games where Eggman is about to pop someone's head off with a straight up gun. Sonic tries to trick him with the fake emerald, but again he's already aware of the plan and traps Sonic in a pod.
You thought you could trick me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
Damn it, Tails. Sonic is launched into space and presumably dies. Shadow confronts Rouge in the cannon, knowing full well that she's a secret agent. Rouge also calls him out on the claim of being the ultimate life form, but Eggman interrupts them, informing Shadow that someone is trying to reach the cannon's exterior. If you're guessing that person is Sonic, then you are correct, as he managed to survive the explosion by using Chaos Control. I kinda get him using the fake emerald to perform it, but how did he learn it? He'd only seen Shadow use it once, way back in the beginning of the story, so I'm guessing he must have learned it by just watching Shadow? This is also where I'm not sure which ending is meant to be the true ending between the two. The hero's side ends with Sonic destroying the cannon and stopping the Doctor's plans. On the other hand, Eggman is seen putting the last emerald into it. I'm a little confused at this point, but this is where both stories end, which leads into the final story of the game. Just like SA1, to unlock the final story, you need to complete both sides. However, let's leave that for the end. SA2's presentation compared to SA1 had a significant boost. It still shows its age at points with the blocky character models, and it still got its fair share of quirks though, like the mocap. It can look a bit strange at points given the characters that it's attached to. I much prefer it over the stiff repetitive animations that were in the first game, plus this ain't the worst usage of motion capture in the series. The HD release does give the game widescreen support, which also showcase some things that were meant to be hit by the 4:3 ratio of the original, which I really don't blame the game in this case since it wasn't designed with that to begin with. Some of the cutscenes however retain their original aspect ratio. Generally it's the ones that have pre-rendered elements within them, or just the straight up CGI cutscenes. Instead of 6 different gameplay styles, there are now only 3. High-speed platforming with Sonic and Shadow, shooting up stages with Tails and Eggman, and treasure hunting exploration with Knuckles and Rouge. Let's start with Sonic and Shadow, as they're easily the best part of the game. I love how they control. It's way more tighter than SA1's, as the speed for each feels much faster too, and also thanks to some of the new moves you got in this game. For one, this was the first game to incorporate rail grinding into the series, thanks to Sonic's brand new soap shoes. Yeah, Sega got a promotion with the real-life shoe brand for this game, and Sonic's really rocking them in this game, not gonna lie. I do like the design of them. Grinding in later games will become more automated, but for SA2, you have to maintain your balance on the rails to keep your speed going, which I don't find really much of a hassle. It's pretty easy to keep your balance all together, just lean in the proper direction and you're good. And hold down the B button, of course. Like SA1, there are upgrades. However, there's no hub world this time around, so you just find them throughout the stages. Some make a return, like the Lightspeed Dash, which is so much better here. No need to charge it, just press the button in front of Betrayal Rings, and you're good as gold. The consequences to having such tighter gameplay is that the level design has gotten more linear. Nothing wrong with linearity, of course, but what I liked about SA1's stages were how open they were. They still were linear goals, but there were way more nooks and crannies that are filled with capsules and if possible different routes you can take. That's not entirely gone for SA2, but the game really encourages you to rush through stages as fast as you can. Some of the stages tend to open up later on, like Sonic and Shadow's final stages, with the many different rails you can take, which I do appreciate. Speed, however, is incredibly important here if you want to get the best rank in the game. SA2 was the first 3D game to use the ranking system, which we still used in Sonic games to this day. It's all based on how fast you are, how many rings you have, and to do it all without dying, since if you die, your score resets back to 0. I never really cared about getting the best rank in each stages, but when I do a pretty near as perfect run and get that sweet A rank at the end,
Ultimate victory.
it's hella satisfying. Character battles make a return, and they are slightly better, i.e. they just don't stand in place this time. Granted, a lot of the battles can boil down to a good old game of happy slaps, but fuck the last battle with Sonic and Shadow. I could never figure out how you're supposed to deal damage. The only times I can get a successful hit in was either during a spin dash at the right time, or light speed dashing through them as they were teleporting back in. Never liked these fights. Remember Gamma from the last game? Well, Tails and Eggman's stages are nearly like his from SA1. There's no timer anymore, thankfully, but you have a health meter now. They don't control as gracefully, however. It's a lot more tank-like movement, which makes sense given the mechs they're using. Plus, both characters get hover upgrades, so it makes platforming a bit more easier. Blowing up stuff and chaining those explosions is the key to getting a high score in their stages. When the game doesn't decide the dick with you, they really like dropping enemies out of nowhere on you, and it's the pits in these stages. Like, shit like this. How was I supposed to know there was an artificial chaos behind that door? Cheap bastards. Also, fuck these guys, they're easily some of the most annoying enemies in the game, because they keep doing this shit. Shoutouts to the one that's losing its mind in Crazy Gadget. Look at him go. It's the worst in Tails' stages, because I swear there's always something that drops above you to ruin your day. Eggman gets off easier in this case. He's still got his fair share of issues similar to Tails, but his stages are nowhere near as bad, except during the final fight with Tails. Damn that fox and his missile barrage and laser cannon bullshit. Yeah, fuck you, Tails. Like, characters get these super moves they can use, but you can't. Like, what the fuck, man? This is bullshit. This is also because I forgot to get an upgrade in Eggman's last stage, so I just made the fight harder for myself. Oops. Well, at least Tails got some good tracks in the game. The treasure hunting stages are about the same as they were. Just find the 3 pieces using the radar at the bottom of the screen to locate them, except for some ungodly reason they made it so that you can only take 1 piece at a time. I never got this. It feels like a needless handicap, and it makes these stages go on for way too long at points. I said the stages in SA1 were short, but this is the wrong way of doing it. It doesn't help that you can still find the other pieces without the radar, but it also means that you can be right next to one, and the game just won't tell you. There is a reason why their space stages are some of the worst in the game. Big, wide open, and sometimes vertically tall stages that can take upwards of 10 minutes to beat. No thanks. Especially in Matt's space case, where the hints are reversed. It honestly isn't too bad for the smaller stages. Once you get to the wider ones, it can be a pain. It sucks because control-wise, Knuckles, and that includes Rouge, control significantly better than they were in SA1. Though besides their digging upgrades, I don't remember a whole lot of the other ones. Well, except for the air necklace for Knuckles, as trust me, you're gonna need that for later. If it wasn't for that damn radar handicap, I think their stages would be great. I mean, some of them are still, but I just wish that wasn't there. They do got some nice tracks though. I don't remember much of Rouge's, but it is nice and jazzy at the very least. While Knuckles gets some incorporation of rap thanks to the rapper 100p, or what the game miscredits him as 100p. Ooh. The lyrics themselves can be cheesy, and that's literally because he was given 1 day to write and record them, but paired with Otami's instrumentals, they could be some real good bops. It's just a shame that 100p himself is a pretty shitty dude, so that's always great. let's move on to... Alright, the Chow Garden again. Well, there's more to do here, like the Chow Karate and the daycare, but like SA1, I didn't spend a whole lot of time here for this video. Wait, Tails was out of his mech? Yo, he can fly too. Wait, if Tails can get out of his mech, he can. Oh my god. Oh man, look at him go! Okay, this may be the best part of the game now. Okay, so I held out on it for a bit, but let's wrap it up with the final story. After inserting the last Chaos Emerald, the Ark activates its final protocol, which is to send the Ark on a direct course to Earth, and with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, to blow up the entire planet. It's all a part of Gerald's plan to seek revenge against humanity for killing everyone on board 50 years ago. Though I have to ask, when did Gerald program this into the Ark? The only possible way he had enough time to program this in was right before he was imprisoned by Gunn, after learning of Maria's death, or before the raid. I don't know. I'm probably overthinking this again. Also, we get to see Gerald about to be mowed down by a firing squad, and if you think I'm joking...
Is there anything else you want to say? No. Ready!
What's going on here?
Never would I thought the concept of firing squad would be in a Sonic game. The only shot both groups have to stop the Ark is to make it to its core, and with the power of the Master Emerald, to halt the energy that the Chaos Emeralds are producing. Also, side note, why are the Master Emeralds so tiny now? They only got one shot to prevent total annihilation, and this is the start of the final stage of the game, Cannon's Core. One massive relay race to the core, between almost all the characters in the game. By the way, remember what I said about Knuckles' air necklace? Well, you better have it here, because his segment is all underwater, and it looks like hell to go through if you don't have it. Oh, hi, Vic. This was the part of the game I remember getting stuck at the most as a kid. This and a upcoming fight. While everyone's doing their thing, Amy notices Shadow looking out towards the planet. She tries to convince Shadow to help the others save the planet and give humanity a chance. And thanks to Amy, Shadow remembers what Maria's final wish really was: to give humanity a chance to live, to be happy, and to bring good to the world. And what has to be the biggest oops of the century. Sonic and Knuckles make it to the core, but before they can make it to the altar, a giant lizard spawns out of nowhere. This is the Bio-Lizard, the prototype of the ultimate life form. You can also see this earlier in the Dark Side story. Shadow decides to step in and distract the lizard while the two make it to the altar. Now this fight was the bane of my 10-year-old's existence. I spent so long trying to beat this damn lizard, but I never could for the longest time. I eventually would, thankfully, and after replaying it now, it's not too bad. It is the hardest fight in the game, no doubt. Probably one of the best in the game too. Now the issues really stem from the latter half of the fight where it throws these little orbs at you, where you have to homing attack them, which I swear can be pretty jank at points. And this last part where you're floating around in midair where you can't afford to get hit at all, otherwise you die and it's a reset. Thankfully it only took my second attempt to get through this thing, but my god, never forget. Well, at least it's got a good track. Knuckles stops the Chaos Emeralds, but now there's a different problem. The Bio-Lizard uses Chaos Control to attach itself to the station, maintaining its course for Earth. But with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic and Shadow go super, and let me just say this now, Crush 40, only 2 games into their career for that series, has managed to create what is easily one of the best tracks they've made for the whole franchise. It's quite literally fucking peak.
Can you feel life moving through your mind? Ooh, looks like it came back for more. Yeah. Can you feel time slipping down your spine? Ooh, you're trying to ignore. Yeah.
Also, I swear to God, this track better be in Sonic 3. It makes up for what is, honest to God, a jank-ass final boss. You have to hit these pink blemishes on the lizard, and I swear the hit detection does not want to work sometimes. Like, what is this bullshit? Sonic and Shadow use Chaos Control on the station to place it back to where it once was. The day is saved, however because of that, and using up his super form, Shadow plummets to Earth, but he still manages to fulfill Maria's wish. And with that, the group leave the Ark. Sonic bids farewell to Shadow one last time, ending Sonic Adventure 2's story. Sure, nowadays we know Shadow isn't dead. He literally appears in the next game afterwards alive and well. Well, for the most part anyways. But it doesn't take away from how touching of an ending this is. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit, I tend to get teary-eyed during this moment. But man, I don't care. It's just a great moment to end what is honestly a pretty good story for the series. I much prefer this over SA1's, but not to say this is perfect. No, it can sometimes feel contrived given the examples I brought up, and even kind of dumb at points. However, I can still look past these things and have a good time. It's still worth noting, of course. It's also an oddly fitting ending too. You can say this game was Sonic Team saying sayonara to Sega's legacy. Their swan song, you can say. Just like SA1, SA2 is flawed in many different areas, but if I were to choose between the two, I say SA2 is my favorite. I remember preferring SA1 when I was younger, but now I'm the opposite. I kinda like SA2 more. However, I still think both games are worth your time. Sure, one is way more jankier than the others, and again, both games are not perfect, but I still say if you never played a Sonic game, I think it's worth playing at least these two for the first time. You should definitely play Sonic Adventure 2. Well, I've been Sonicman, and I thank you for watching. Have a good day, or night, or whatever, and take care.